Hi friends, it's Unicorn, and today I want to talk about the new books that I accumulated since my last book haul. If you have followed my recent videos, you may know that I moved and also I reorganized my bookshelves and also counted the number of my unread books. And you may think knowing exact number of my unread books, which is a very big and shameful number, I wouldn't buy as many books as before, especially also considering that I haven't read a single page this month. When I say I haven't read a single page, it's literally like I haven't read a thing because I'm purely so anxious about the world, about my personal life, about everything and anything. But in the end, I'm still me, and researching for books and buying books is still a very soothing process for me in my life, not for my wallet though. So here we are today to talk about the new books that I got recently. So without further ado, let's dive into them. First book I got here is The World of Yesterday, Memoirs of a European by Stefan Zweig. This is a memoir that Zweig mailed to his publisher a few days before he took his life. This is talking about the history of Europe from the 19th century up until the rise of the Nazis regime. I have this increasing interest of reading books about the First and Second World War recently because, call me crazy, I just feel like the rise of nationalism in our time is kind of bizarre right now, and the First and the Second World War is a period of time where we can refer back to. And also I believe I saw a quote from this book somewhere, but I forgot the exact quote, but that sparked my interest of actually getting this book and reading it. So I'm hoping to get into it and maybe find more things that I liked from this book. Please excuse me, but I have to change my camera angle because I feel like the glare from my window to my glasses are too much. But the second book I got on the topic of learning about and understanding about our current world is The Obedience to Authority by Stanley Milgram. This is a classic study and experiment on this topic by the Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram that he ordered a bunch of people to electroshock human learners. And with time going on, the shocks became progressively more powerful and painful. But this is actually an experiment about the people who's given out the electric shock to study to what extent human will obey authorities no matter what the consequences will be. This is actually a very controversial study, and I've heard about it many times before, but I've never read anything that is like originally from this study, so I'm hoping to read and find out more. Then I got Symphony for the City of the Dead, Dmitri, Shostakovich, and the Siege of Leningrad by N.T. Anderson. I mentioned that I haven't read a single page lately because I'm so anxious, but I have listened to a lot of Shostakovich. I really like the contrast in his works, and I feel like his work can help me concentrate in this world that is getting more and more crazier. So naturally, I started to dig into his life stories and find out they're actually quite interesting. And I also found out that when he's writing about the 7th Symphony, it was during the Second World War, and although it wasn't clear that if he had the Siege of Leningrad on mind when he's creating the 7th Symphony, but I found out about this book and I really want to read about it, read about the history of that time and also about how he created the symphony. Then I got 11 Kinds of Loneliness by Richard Yates. I have read this book once before in 2013, and not only that, I also wrote a review of it. I was looking back to my reviews recently and I was surprised of my own writing. In the review, I said this is a book about the ordinary people who maybe will never become a protagonist of any kind of dramatic stories. So I got curious about the stories again because I forgot about them, so I want to reread it again. Then I got 2 novels by Agatha Christie. They're both from the Miss Marple series. The first one is A Murder is Announced. This is talking about in a village where a advertisement has been posted saying that a murder is announced on an exact date at an exact time. Of course, this stirred up the curiosity of people, and people don't know whether it's something serious or just a joke. Another one is called They Do It with Mirrors. This is talking about Miss Marple travels to visit one of her friends and she sensed danger in the village, and of course her sense was confirmed because someone shot at the administrator of the village village. Luckily, the administrator wasn't injured. However, a mysterious visitor of the village was shot dead because of this coincidence. But we all know that there's no coincidence in the world of Miss Marple, so she's gonna solve the murder. Reading Agatha Christie has been one of my most important ways to relax this year, and I'm working through reading all of the books in Miss Marple series, so these two are the ones that following A Moving Fingers, which I read a while ago. And I'm very excited to expand my Agatha Christie library, so my goal is to read and collect all of her books. Then I got a book for the From and About Asia reading project for May, which is the Sri Lanka month. My library has most of the books that I plan to read, but this one, so I got a second-hand copy of The Reasons of Trouble by Rohini Mohan. This book is about three people's life who has been caught in the consequences of the 30 years Sri Lanka Civil War, and this book has been called the model reportage, and I'm really excited to learn more about Sri Lanka from this book. Then I got a book that was sent to me with this beautiful bookmark, and the book is called And So We Dream by Linda Mahkoveg. This is a coming-of-age historical fiction set during the Vietnam War. It's talking about a 12-year-old boy who got sent to his family friends one summer, so he left Chicago and went to the small town of Greenberry, and he is looking into a very exciting summer. He bonded with the children of the family quickly, especially their second daughter, and this experience quickly became the crucible of dreamers. I love a good historical fiction, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. Then I got Women's Liberation and the Africa Freedom Struggle by Thomas Sankara, and also the Goodreads also said it's also by Samantha Anderson. However, I couldn't find the information on this book, so I'm like very confused right now. This book is recommended to me by Nicole, and as the title suggested, it's talking about women's liberation in Africa and how the revolution in Africa from 1983 to 1987 works together with the women's liberation. I did not know this book nor this piece of history. However, I trust Nicole's recommendation, and I'm waiting to learn a lot from this rather short book. Then I got Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. This is another book that I want to learn a lot from. I want to read more books related to queer theories to help me build a more well-rounded knowledge structure on this topic. And I have heard so many good things about this book, especially from my friends who are asexual, so I'm really excited for it. Then I got two books for the first round of BookTube prize this year. I'm reading for nonfiction only, and these books both have extremely long waiting list from my library, so I have to get them myself. The first one is Everybody, a book about freedom by Olivia Laing. This book talks about human body and talks about the history, medicine, and our rights to our body. It makes to my top 3 personally, but didn't make into the next round for the BookTube prize. More of it in the review of it. And the second book I got for this is These Precious Days by Ann Patchett. This is Ann Patchett's memoir, and I feel like if you have read any of her books before, if you have this connection with her, this book may work better to you, but I haven't read any of her books, and I have just entered Commonwealth a while ago before my move, so yeah, again, more of it in the review. The final 3 books I have featured in my TBRs already, but as I already told you, I haven't read anything, so they're still unread. The first one is ARIEL by Slyvia Plath. Ever since I read Slyvia Plath's biography, Red Comet, last year, I'm super interested into reading of her poems, and I got this one because I found out there's a new translation of Chinese edition came out recently by my favorite Chinese poet, Bao Huiyi. So I got both this one in physical copy and the Chinese one in digital copy, and I want to read them together and maybe compare the two. Then I have Hearing Birds Fly by Louisa Wang. This is a book that I chose for the Mongolia month for the From and About Asia reading project, and ever since I featured it in my TBR, I've heard so many good things about it. Before I posted it, I had no idea this book exists. This is the travel journal of the author who traveled to Mongolia and stayed in the village and started to experience the culture, the nature, and everything. And because I've heard good things about it, I'm more and more excited for it. I just hope I can maybe read something this month months still. The last book in this book haul is The Right to Sex, Feminism in the 21st Century by Amiya Srinivasan. This is a feminist book talking about the meaning of sex and the history and the future. And being a feminist myself, of course, I'm very interested in reading this book. And also I have a very personal reason of wanting to read this book because I have noticed that there is a very small group of people who call themselves feminists, and they kind of discriminate any women who's willing to have sex with men, which is very bizarre to me, and I just don't understand because I feel like they are not only given up the right to sex to biological male, but also discriminate and divided women into different smaller groups and discriminated a lot of them, which doesn't make sense to me and also makes me wonder the meaning of the feminist that to their understanding. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but yeah, that's one of my observations and makes me want to study more on the topic of sex. If you have any idea about what I'm talking about or have any comment or have like some resources, more resources I can learn from, please comment down below. And yeah, and not to mention that this book have quickly became a must read for a lot of people, so I'm really excited to have it. And that's all the books I have accumulated recently. I hope you find this video interesting, and please let me know any of your thoughts or what books have you got recently, and don't forget to say hi in the comment section down below. Thumbs up to this video if you liked it. I wish you happy reading, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!